Los Angeles is drowning tonight, and Coco Jones is drowning with it. She's stumbling through the Cedars-Sinai parking garage, her red scrubs plastered to her body, her braids heavy with rain because she left her umbrella in the staff lounge 3 floors up, and there's no way in hell she's going back. 8 months pregnant. 36 hours on shift. Her feet are so swollen she can't even see her ankles anymore, and her back feels like someone's taken a sledgehammer to her spine. Her phone buzzes with a notification that reads, "Ride arriving now, black Mercedes sedan, license plate ending in 472. When the obsidian Mercedes S-Class glides to the curb, sleek and silent like a predator, she glances at the plate. 472. Close enough. She's too exhausted to care about the exact match. Without thinking twice, Coco yanks the door open and throws herself into the back seat, gasping for air. The interior smells like leather and sandalwood and something else she can't name, something expensive, something dangerous. She collapses against the headrest, clutching her belly, and her voice cracks from exhaustion as she breathes, "Just take me home, please." Her eyes drift shut before she can even buckle her seatbelt. The driver doesn't respond, but someone else does. June turns slowly from the opposite seat, his expression unreadable in the shadows. This isn't some rideshare driver. This is a man in a suit so perfectly tailored it looks like it was sewn onto his body, charcoal fabric that catches the dim garage light like silk. His eyes are dark, calculating, and currently locked onto the pregnant stranger who just invaded his space like she owns it. His name is Jun, and he's literally on his way to finalize a territory negotiation that could either expand his organization's reach into Northern California or start a war that'll paint the Pacific Coast Highway red. He blinks once, twice. Then he says something in Korean, sharp and questioning, his tone making it clear this is not her ride. Coco's eyes snap open. She stares at him, her brain trying to catch up through the fog of sleep deprivation. This man isn't wearing a driver's uniform. He's not asking for her destination. He's looking at her like she just materialized out of thin air in his personal sanctuary. "Oh God," she whispers, her heart starting to hammer. "You're not my." Before she can finish, before she can apologize and scramble out of the car, 3 black SUVs suddenly screech into formation around the Mercedes, boxing them in completely. Men in dark suits pour out, surrounding the vehicle on all sides. But they're not holding guns, they're holding cameras. Professional equipment with lenses the size of her forearm, all pointed directly at June's car. At her. June's entire demeanor shifts in half a second, from confused to lethally focused. He leans forward slightly, his voice dropping to a tone that makes her skin prickle with warning. "Don't move. Don't speak. Just sit there and act like you're exactly where you're supposed to be." Coco's heart is hammering so hard she can feel it in her throat. She watches through the tinted window as one of the men makes a phone call, his mouth moving rapidly. Another circles the car slowly, snapping photos from every angle. The flash reflects off the wet concrete like lightning. Finally, after what feels like an eternity but is probably only 90 seconds, the men step back. The SUVs pull away. June's driver, a stone-faced man with a scar along his jawline, eases the Mercedes forward so smoothly it's like nothing happened. Coco grips her belly, her knuckles white. What the hell just happened? Jun adjusts his cufflinks, and for the first time she catches the tiniest hint of something in his eyes. Not quite amusement, maybe calculation. "You just became my fiancé. My rivals have been waiting for me to show weakness. They saw you in my car. They think I'm protecting something precious. Congratulations. You're now the most valuable piece on the board." Coco's jaw drops. "Wait, they think I'm your what?" Jun meets her eyes in the rearview mirror, and his next words change everything. "And if I put you out now, you're dead by morning." The estate rises from the Hollywood Hills like a fortress, pretending to be a palace. Coco watches through the rain-streaked window as iron gates swing open, revealing a driveway that snakes upward through manicured gardens that look black in the storm. Her hands won't stop shaking. She presses them against her belly, feeling her daughter kick, oblivious, innocent, unaware that her mother just gambled both their lives on a license plate number. June hasn't spoken since his death sentence of a declaration. He sits across from her, one leg crossed over the other, scrolling through his phone with the casual indifference of a man who just sealed a stranger's fate over breakfast. But Coco sees the tension in his jaw, the way his thumb hovers too long over certain messages before he deletes them without reading. He's calculating, planning, deciding whether she's an asset or a liability. "I have a life," Coco says, her voice steadier than she feels. A job, an apartment, people who'll notice I'm gone. June doesn't look up. Your shift supervisor already received a text from your number. Family emergency. You'll be taking your maternity leave early. He tilts his phone just enough for her to see her own message thread, her own words typed by someone else's hands. Your landlord received next month's rent. Your medical records are being transferred to a private physician who makes house calls. Ice floods her veins. How did you? I own people who own people, June says simply, finally meeting her eyes. By the time we pulled out of that garage, I knew your social security number, your student loan debt, and the name of the married attending physician you reported for harassment last year. He leans forward, and the space between them shrinks to nothing. I know you're 32 weeks pregnant. I know the father isn't in the picture. I know you work doubles because your savings account has $1,800, and your hospital insurance doesn't kick in until you hit 40 hours weekly. Coco feels stripped bare, violated. You had no right. I had every right the moment those cameras made you mine. His voice drops, soft and lethal. Do you understand what you are now, Coco Jones? You're not a hostage. You're a message. To my enemies, you're proof that the Shadow King has something to lose. To my allies, you're proof that I'm unpredictable, that I've gone off script. He stands, buttoning his suit jacket with movements so controlled they look rehearsed. Either way, you're too valuable to waste and too dangerous to release. The car stops. Coco's door opens, and a woman in her 50s with steel gray hair and kind eyes extends a hand. Miss Jones, I'm Dr. Lim. I'll be overseeing your prenatal care during your stay. My stay. Coco repeats the word, tasting ash. She takes the doctor's hand because her legs are trembling too badly to stand alone. The rain has stopped, but the air smells like ozone and jasmine, like beauty wrapped around something rotting. June walks ahead without looking back, his silhouette sharp against the golden light spilling from the mansion's entrance. Coco follows because she has no choice, because her feet move even as her mind screams to run. The interior is all marble and shadows, crystal chandeliers casting fractured light across floors so polished she can see her reflection, a ghost in red scrubs, swollen and terrified and trying desperately not to show it. Third floor, east wing, June says to Dr. Lim, the suite with the reinforced windows. Reinforced, like a cage dressed up as a bedroom. Coco is led upstairs by the doctor, through hallways lined with art that looks stolen from museums. Her room is larger than her entire apartment, all cream silk and soft lighting, with a bed big enough to drown in. There's a bassinet in the corner, already assembled, newborn clothes folded in the dresser, prenatal vitamins on the nightstand. He planned this. Before she even woke up in his car, he planned this. Get some rest, Dr. Lim says gently. Though her eyes hold a warning Coco can't quite read. I'll check on you in a few hours. The door closes. Coco hears the lock slide into place from the outside. She's alone. She crosses to the window, testing it. Bulletproof glass, just like the car. She can see the city sprawling below, a galaxy of lights pretending Los Angeles isn't drowning. Her reflection stares back, exhausted, pregnant, trapped. She thinks about screaming. She thinks about breaking something. Instead, she sinks onto the bed and lets the tears come, hot and furious and silent, because she won't give him the satisfaction of hearing her break. Hours pass. Maybe 2, maybe 6. Time feels liquid here. When the door opens again, it's not the doctor. June stands in the threshold, still in his suit but with his tie loosened, his hair slightly disheveled like he's been running his hands through it. He's holding a tray with soup, bread, tea. He sets it on the table beside her bed without a word. I'm not eating anything you give me, Coco says. Then starve. June turns to leave. Why? The word rips out of her. Why not just kill me? Why this elaborate performance? He stops. For a long moment, he doesn't turn around. When he finally does, his expression is unreadable. Because you remind me of someone. Who? Someone I failed to protect. He says it like a confession, like it costs him something to admit. Eat, Coco. Or don't. But understand that your survival benefits us both. Those photographers didn't just take pictures. They sent a message to every organization from Seoul to Sao Paulo. They think you're leverage. If you die, I look weak. If you live, I look dangerous. His eyes travel to her belly, just for a second. And if that baby is born healthy under my protection, I look untouchable. Coco's breath catches. You're using my daughter as a prop. I'm using your daughter as a shield, June corrects. For both of you. He leaves before she can respond, the lock clicking back into place like a punctuation mark. Coco stares at the soup. Her stomach growls. Her baby kicks, demanding nourishment. She hates herself for it, but she picks up the spoon. The broth is perfect, rich, warm, made by someone who actually knows how to cook. She eats because she has to, because surviving is the only rebellion she has left. But as she swallows, she makes herself a promise. She'll find a way out. She'll learn this place, learn him, learn every weakness in this gilded prison, and when the moment comes, she'll run so fast even the Shadow King won't see her coming. Coco wakes to sunlight slicing through silk curtains and the smell of coffee she didn't brew. For 3 blissful seconds, she forgets where she is. Then she sees the bassinet, the locked door. The reality crashes back. She's been here for 4 days. 4 days of Dr. Lim's checkups and protein-heavy meals delivered by silent staff. 4 days of testing every window, every door, every air vent. 4 days of seeing June exactly twice, once in the hallway where he passed her without acknowledgement, and once through her window as he stood in the garden at midnight, smoking a cigarette and staring at nothing. She learns the estate through observation. Morning shifts change at 6. The guards do perimeter checks every 90 minutes. There's a blind spot near the service entrance where the cameras don't quite overlap. She learns that the staff won't meet her eyes, but they're not unkind. She learns that Dr. Lim leaves her medical bag unattended for exactly 4 minutes during each visit. She learns that June is a ghost in his own house, here and gone, present and absent, like he's afraid of staying in one place too long. On the 5th morning, everything changes. Coco is attempting prenatal yoga, poorly, because her center of gravity is a joke. When her door unlocks, not Dr. Lim, not the silent housekeeper, June himself, dressed in dark slacks and a white shirt with the sleeves rolled to his elbows. There's a tattoo on his left forearm she's never seen before, Korean characters wrapped around what looks like a dragon's tail. "Get dressed," he says without preamble, something appropriate for the city. Coco doesn't move. Why? "Because I'm giving you a choice." He leans against the doorframe, and she hates how at ease he looks, how the morning light softens the sharp angles of his face. "You can stay here, comfortable and safe and slowly losing your mind. Or you can come with me and see exactly why you can't leave." It's not really a choice. They both know it. 30 minutes later, she's in the back of the Mercedes again, wearing clothes that appeared in her closet overnight, designer maternity wear that fits perfectly, which means he knows her exact measurements. The thought makes her skin crawl. June sits beside her this time, not across. Close enough that she can smell his cologne, something clean and expensive that reminds her of winter. "Where are we going?" she asks. "Your apartment." Her heart stutters. "What?" "You wanted proof that leaving is suicide," Jun says, scrolling through his phone. "I'm providing evidence." The drive downtown feels surreal. She watches her city pass by through bulletproof glass. The coffee shop where she gets her morning fix, the bookstore where she hides on her days off, the park where she imagined pushing a stroller someday. All of it still there, still existing without her. The Mercedes pulls up 3 blocks from her building, parking in an alley that smells like garbage and broken dreams. June hands her a pair of binoculars. "3rd floor, corner unit. Your living room window." Coco's hands shake as she raises them. Her apartment swims into focus and her blood turns to ice. There are 2 men inside. One is sitting on her couch, eating her food. The other is methodically going through her drawers, her closet, her life. They're not robbing her. They're searching. For what? She doesn't know, but the way they move is professional, patient, dangerous. "Who are they?" she whispers. "The Zhao family," June says. "Second largest syndicate on the West Coast. They saw the photographs. They know you're connected to me, which means you're either an asset to acquire or a threat to eliminate." He takes the binoculars back. "They've had your apartment under surveillance since the night you disappeared. If you'd tried to go home, they would have taken you. If you'd gone to the police, they would have killed you to prevent complications." Coco feels sick. "How do you know they wouldn't just leave me alone?" June's laugh is bitter. "Because I wouldn't. Because in this world, mercy is weakness, and weakness gets you buried." He meets her eyes, and there's something almost human in his expression. Almost regret. "You stopped being a civilian the moment you touched my car door, Coco. I'm sorry for that, but I didn't make the rules. I just know how to survive them." The drive back is silent. Coco watches the city disappear behind her, each mile another nail in the coffin of her old life. When they pull through the gates of the estate, She doesn't feel relieved. She feels numb. June walks her to her room but doesn't lock the door immediately. He pauses, his hand on the frame. "For what it's worth," he says quietly, "I meant what I said. You remind me of someone I lost. Someone who deserved better than what I could give her." "Who?" Coco asks, because she needs to understand him if she's going to survive him. "My sister." The words are barely audible. "She was pregnant too, when they came for her. I got her out, but not before." He stops, his jaw clenching. "She survived. The baby didn't, and I swore I'd never let that happen again. Not on my watch." He leaves before Coco can respond, but this time the door stays unlocked. She stands there for a long time, staring at that open door. It's a test, a message. He's giving her the illusion of choice while making it clear there's nowhere to go. But illusions can be useful. Coco learned that in the NICU, where sometimes hope is just a beautiful lie you tell parents until their baby's lungs are strong enough to breathe alone. She closes the door herself, locks it from the inside, and starts planning. Coco discovers the library by accident on her 8th day of captivity. She's wandering the East Wing during the guard shift change, those precious 4 minutes of chaos when the rotation overlaps and no one's quite sure who's watching what. The door is unlocked, hidden behind a painting of a woman who looks like she's drowning. Inside, floor-to-ceiling shelves hold books in Korean, English, Japanese. A leather chair faces windows overlooking the garden, and on the desk, half hidden under a stack of financial reports, is a laptop. Her fingers itch, but she doesn't touch it. Not yet. Instead, she memorizes the room. The escape routes, the camera placement, 2 of them, both avoidable if she stays close to the shelves, the fact that someone comes here regularly because there's a fresh coffee cup on the desk, and the chair is still warm. She's about to leave when she hears voices in the hallway. Male, speaking rapid Korean. She recognizes one, June's second in command. A man called Min who looks at her like she's an expensive vase he's afraid of breaking. The other voice is unfamiliar, younger, angrier. Coco presses herself against the bookshelf, barely breathing. "Can't seriously expect us to believe she's just a consultant." The younger voice snaps in accented English, probably for the benefit of someone else present. "She's a liability, a pregnant civilian who knows too much." "She knows nothing," Min replies, calm and cold, and June has his reasons. June's going soft. First, he lets the Zhao family insult us without retaliation. Now he's playing house with some random nurse. The Seoul office is asking questions. There's a pause. When Min speaks again, his voice has dropped to something lethal. "Be very careful how you speak about her. June's reasons are his own, but I'll give you one of mine. The moment she walked into that car, she became untouchable. That's not sentiment, that's strategy. If she dies, we look weak. If she lives, we look merciful. Both serve our purposes, and when the baby comes, then we reassess." Their footsteps fade. Coco realizes she's gripping a book so hard the spine is cracking. She forces herself to breathe, to think. They're debating her usefulness like she's livestock. And worse, there's a faction that wants her gone. She needs leverage, information, something to make herself indispensable. That night, she picks the lock on her door using a hairpin from Dr. Lim's medical kit. It's easier than she expected. Apparently, Jun's security focuses outward, not inward. She makes her way back to the library, avoiding the patrol routes she's memorized. The laptop is still there, password protected but carelessly left on sleep mode rather than shut down. Coco doesn't have computer skills, but she has something better. Medical training. She knows how to read charts, lab results, diagnostic codes, and when she opens the file directory, she finds something interesting buried in a subfolder labeled Logistics. It's not weapons, shipments, or money laundering. It's medical records. Dozens of them. All Korean nationals, all with the same diagnosis. Rare blood disorders, genetic conditions, terminal illnesses, and all with the same notation. Waiting list, U.S. transplant registry, denied. Her breath catches. This isn't crime. This is desperation. She digs deeper, finding communication threads between June and various hospitals, research facilities, organ procurement organizations. He's trying to get these people treatment. Legally, from the looks of it, though the rejection letters are brutal. Insufficient U.S. ties, denied. Ineligible under current visa status, denied. Priority given to citizens, denied. One file is marked personal. Inside is a single photo. A young woman who looks like June, but softer, smiling. The same sister he mentioned. Beneath it, a death certificate from 3 years ago. Cause listed as pregnancy complication and hemorrhage, compounded by delayed emergency care due to immigration status. Coco's eyes burn. This is why. This is the ghost that haunts him. She's so focused on the screen she doesn't hear the footsteps until it's too late. Find anything interesting? She spins. June stands in the doorway, still in his suit from whatever meeting kept him out past midnight. His expression is unreadable, but his eyes, God, his eyes are storms barely contained. I can explain. Can you? He crosses the room in 3 strides, closing the laptop with a finality that sounds like a gavel. Or are you just going to tell me you were looking for escape routes? Because I already know every exit you've scouted, every guard rotation you've memorized, every moment you thought you were alone. Coco's heart hammers. You've been watching me. I've been protecting you, June corrects. There's a difference. He's close now, close enough that she can see the exhaustion etched into his features, the weight he carries. You want to know the truth, Coco? You want to understand why I didn't throw you to the wolves? Yes. He pulls a photograph from his jacket. The same woman from the file, but in this one, she's 8 months pregnant, radiant. Her name was Minjun. She got pregnant by a man our family didn't approve of. American, civilian, wrong in every way except that he loved her. His voice cracks, just barely. I helped her run. Got her papers, a new identity, an apartment in Koreatown. I thought I'd protected her. What happened? She went into labor early, 32 weeks, just like you. But the hospital she went to had a 2-hour ER wait. By the time they saw her, she was hemorrhaging. They tried, but... He stops, swallows. She died because the system failed her. Because I put her in a position where she had no safety net, no protection, no one who could demand immediate care. Coco's throat tightens. I'm sorry. Don't be. Jun's eyes meet hers, and she sees it now. The guilt, the rage, the desperate need to rewrite history. You want to know why you're here? It's not strategy. It's not even about those photographs. You're here because I looked at you in that garage, pregnant, exhausted, vulnerable, and I saw her, and this time, I get to save her. The air between them shifts, charged with something neither of them wants to name. Coco should step back, should maintain distance. But she doesn't. I'm not your dead sister, June. I know. His hand lifts, hesitates, then gently brushes a braid from her face. The touch is feather light, reverent. You're so much more stubborn. Despite everything, the captivity, the danger, the insanity, Coco laughs. It's short, breathless, but real. You kidnapped me. Technically, you kidnapped yourself. You're using me as a propaganda piece. I'm keeping you alive. His thumb traces her jawline, and she should pull away, but she's frozen, caught between fury and something far more dangerous. I'm keeping her alive. His eyes drop to her belly. Coco's hand covers his, stopping the movement. What happens when the baby comes? When I'm no longer useful? June's expression darkens. Then I make you indispensable another way. Before she can ask what that means, he steps back, the moment shattering like glass. Get some sleep, Coco. Tomorrow, you're going to help me save 17 lives. He leaves. The door clicks shut. And Coco stands in the library, her hand still warm from where he touched her, wondering when exactly she stopped seeing him as her captor and started seeing him as something far more complicated. The conference room is all glass and steel, with a view of downtown LA that makes Coco's stomach turn. She's seated at a table, surrounded by men in expensive suits, and she's the only woman, the only black person, the only one visibly pregnant. Every eye is on her. June sits at the head of the table, his expression carved from ice. Gentlemen, this is Dr. Coco Jones, specialist in neonatal and high-risk obstetric care. It's a lie wrapped in truth. She's a nurse, not a doctor. But he's upgrading her credentials like she's a product he's selling. She'll be consulting on our humanitarian medical initiative. Humanitarian. The word tastes like poison in her mouth because she knows what this really is. A smuggling operation dressed up as charity. June isn't bringing patients to America. He's facilitating illegal organ transplants, blood transfusions, experimental treatments that would never get FDA approval. Except when she reviews the files he slides across to her, she realizes it's not that simple. These aren't black market operations. They're legitimate medical procedures that US law simply won't allow for non-citizens. A 12-year-old girl with leukemia who needs a bone marrow transplant but can't get on the registry because of her visa status. A 40-year-old man with kidney failure who's been denied 3 times. A pregnant woman with a clotting disorder who needs specialized care. No hospital in Seoul can provide. Coco feels the trap closing. He's not asking her to break the law. He's asking her to bend it. To use her medical knowledge to find loopholes, to navigate the bureaucracy, to be the American face that makes this operation legitimate. Why me? She asks quietly, ignoring the 11 pairs of eyes boring into her. You could hire any consultant. June's gaze doesn't waver. Because you understand what it's like to be invisible to a system that's supposed to care for you. Because you've worked in a hospital where insurance status determines who lives and who dies. Because, he pauses, and something flickers across his face. Because you're the only person in this room who actually gives a damn about saving lives instead of saving face. One of the men, older with silver threading his temples, speaks rapid Korean. June responds in kind, his tone sharp. The older man argues back, gesturing at Coco. English, Councilman Park, June says with lethal politeness. Dr. Jones deserves to know what you're saying about her. Park's smile doesn't reach his eyes. I was simply noting that Miss Jones is conspicuously present. The photographs have already circulated. Are we to expect wedding invitations? The room goes silent. Coco feels her face heat, but June's expression doesn't change. Dr. Jones is under my personal protection, he says simply. That's all you need to know. Personal protection, Park repeats, like he's tasting the words for poison. How remarkably convenient. And when Seoul asks about your judgment, Seoul can ask me directly. June's voice drops to something that makes the air feel thin. This meeting is about medical logistics, not my personal affairs, unless you'd like to volunteer your own expertise on neonatal care. Park backs down, but the damage is done. Coco can feel the speculation, the assumptions, the way every man in this room now sees her as June's weakness instead of his consultant. The meeting continues for 2 more hours. Coco reviews cases, suggests legal pathways, identifies which hospitals might be sympathetic to humanitarian visa applications. She's useful. She's valuable. And she hates how good it feels to be needed for her skills instead of her proximity to June. When it finally ends, June dismisses everyone except her. They're alone in the glass tower, the city sprawling below like a circuit board of lights. You did well, he says. I helped you circumvent federal immigration law. You helped me save lives. He pours 2 glasses of water. He remembered she can't have alcohol, and slides one across to her. There's a difference. Is there? Coco drinks because her mouth is desert dry, because from where I'm sitting, I just became complicit in whatever this is. If something goes wrong, if someone talks, I'm the American face of an international smuggling ring. Nothing will go wrong. You can't promise that. I can. June's eyes are obsidian, absolute. Because if anyone tries to hurt you, they'll have to go through me first. And I promise you, Coco, I'm very good at keeping people alive when I want to. The weight of his words settles between them. Coco should argue, should demand to be released, should threaten to go to authorities. But she's seen too much now. The files, the desperation, the children dying because paperwork matters more than pulses. What do you want from me? She asks instead. Really, June is quiet for a long moment. When he speaks, his voice is soft, almost vulnerable. I want you to trust me. You kidnapped me. I protected you. There's a difference. He stands, moving to the window. His reflection is ghostly in the glass. You think I wanted this? To have someone innocent caught in my world? But you're here, and you're brilliant, and you could actually help these people if you wanted to. And what happens when I refuse? Then you stay comfortable and safe in the estate until your baby is born, and then I'll relocate you somewhere quiet with enough money to start over. He turns, and the city lights frame him like a fallen angel. But you won't refuse, because I've watched you, Coco. I've seen how you look at those files. You're not thinking about escape anymore. You're thinking about that 12-year-old girl with leukemia. Damn him for being right. One condition, Coco says, her voice steadier than she feels. I want full medical autonomy. I review every case. I make the final call on what's ethical and what's not. You don't override me. June's smile is slow, dangerous. Deal. He extends his hand. Coco stares at it. This handshake that will bind her to a criminal organization, that will make her complicit, that will change everything. She takes it. His grip is firm, warm, and when his thumb brushes across her knuckles, it feels like a promise and a threat all at once. "Welcome to the family, Dr. Jones," he murmurs, and Coco realizes with a sinking, thrilling certainty that she just sold her soul to the devil. She just can't decide if she regrets it. The file arrives at midnight, delivered by Min himself, with an expression that makes Coco's instincts scream warning. She's in the library, her library now, since June gave her unofficial access after their handshake deal, reviewing the leukemia case when Min sets down a manila folder that looks too thin to contain a human life. "Priority case," Min says in his precise English. "June wants your assessment by morning." He leaves before she can ask questions. Red flag number 1. Coco opens the folder, and her blood runs cold. Patient Lee Yuna, age 28. Diagnosis: complications from emergency C-section, severe postpartum hemorrhage, requires immediate transfusion and possible hysterectomy. It's the diagnosis that makes her pause. Not because it's unusual. Postpartum hemorrhage kills women every day, but because the medical details are wrong. The blood type listed doesn't match the antibody screening results. The gestational timeline contradicts the surgical notes. Someone created this file in a hurry, and they weren't careful. This isn't a real patient. This is a test. Coco's mind races. June is testing her, checking if she'll blindly approve anything he sends, or if she'll actually do her job. But why? What's the real game here? She spends 3 hours cross-referencing the medical codes, tracking down the hospital listed in Seoul. It exists, but when she checks their surgical logs through a medical database she technically shouldn't have access to, there's no record of a Lee Yuna, no C-section on the date listed, nothing. Her door opens without knocking. June, still in yesterday's clothes, looking like he hasn't slept. His eyes go to the file, then to her face, reading her like she's a document he's memorizing. "Well," he asks. "This patient doesn't exist," Coco says flatly. "The blood work is fabricated, the hospital records are fake, and whoever created this file doesn't understand obstetric terminology because they listed a procedure that's been obsolete for 15 years. Silence. Jun's expression doesn't change, but something shifts in his eyes. Satisfaction, maybe, or relief. "Who else knows?" he asks quietly. "About the fake file? Just me." Coco stands, her belly making the movement awkward, but she refuses to look weak. "But here's what I don't know. Whether you sent this to test me, or if someone in your organization is trying to use your humanitarian project to smuggle something else entirely." June's jaw tightens. "Explain." "This file came through Min. But Min's been loyal to you for what, a decade? So either he's setting you up, or someone above him is using him as a courier without his knowledge." She taps the folder. "The codes in here? They match the formatting for organ transplant logistics, not emergency obstetric care. Someone's trying to slip a different kind of cargo through your legitimate channels." The air in the room changes. June crosses to the window, his hand going to his phone. He fires off a text in Korean, then another. When he turns back, there's something new in his expression, something that looks almost like respect. "You just saved me from a war I didn't know was starting," he says. "Councilman Park has been pushing to expand our medical operations into organ procurement. I said no. Looks like he decided to proceed without my approval." Using my signature as cover, Coco realizes, if this had gone through, I would have been the American physician authorizing illegal organ trafficking, and I would have been implicated by association. June moves closer, close enough that she can see the silver threading through his dark hair, the faint scar along his collarbone. "You could have approved it, could have played along, let Park bury us both. Why would I do that?" "Because then you'd have leverage," June says simply. "Evidence of my criminal activity. Enough to negotiate your freedom. Maybe even immunity." Coco's heart pounds because he's right. She didn't think of it, but she should have. "That's not who I am." "No." June's hand lifts, his fingers brushing her cheek so gently it feels like a question. "It's not. You're the woman who stays up until 3 in the morning to make sure I don't get murdered by my own counsel. You're infuriating." "You're welcome," Coco breathes, and then his mouth is on hers. The kiss is not gentle. It's 13 days of tension and proximity and denial, all combusting at once. June's hand slides into her braids, tilting her head back, and Coco's fingers grip his shirt like she's drowning. He tastes like coffee and something darker, and when he pulls back, they're both breathing hard. "This is a terrible idea," Coco whispers. "The worst," June agrees, and kisses her again. This time, it's slower, deeper, his free hand coming to rest on her belly where their daughter, because Coco's starting to think of the baby as theirs, God help her, is doing gymnastics. The intimacy of that touch breaks something in her. She pulls back, her eyes burning. "I can't do this if it's just strategy," she says. "If I'm still just the ghost of your sister, just a symbol you're protecting." "You stopped being a symbol the moment you called me out for the fake file," June cuts her off. "You stopped being her replacement when you made me laugh in the library. You stopped being captive when you shook my hand and chose to stay." His forehead rests against hers. "You're Coco. Brilliant, stubborn, beautiful Coco who fell asleep in my car and wrecked my entire life. And I..." His phone erupts with alerts. June's entire body goes rigid. He reads the screen, and his expression shudders completely. "We have a problem," he says. "Park just called an emergency council meeting in Seoul, and he's requesting your presence as the medical director." Coco's stomach drops. He knows I flagged the file. Worse, he's going to accuse me of compromising the operation for personal reasons. He's going to demand proof that you're qualified, that you're legitimate, that you're... June stops, his jaw clenching. "That I'm really yours," Coco finishes. Their eyes meet. In that moment, she sees the calculation, the plan forming in his mind, and she knows exactly what he's about to ask before he says it. "Marry me," Jun says. "Not real, just on paper. Enough to shut Park down, protect the operation, keep you safe." It's the worst proposal in the history of proposals. It's cold, transactional, desperate. Coco should say no, should run, should finally choose self-preservation. "When do we leave for Seoul?" she asks instead. Seoul swallows them whole. The private jet touches down at Incheon just after dawn, and Coco watches through the window as the city rises from the mist. Glass towers and ancient temples, tradition wrapped around innovation until you can't tell where one ends and the other begins. She's never left California before. Now she's walking into the heart of an empire that wants her dead or compliant. She's not sure which is worse. June hasn't touched her since the kiss, since the proposal. He's been on his phone for the entire 14-hour flight, speaking rapid Korean to people whose names she doesn't know, building some kind of strategy she's not privy to. The only time he looked at her was to hand her a black velvet box. Inside, a ring. Not a proposal ring, a claim. Platinum band with a black diamond that catches light like a threat. Traditional Korean engravings on the inside that she can't read. "It was my grandmother's," June said quietly. "It means protected by shadows. You don't have to wear it after this is over." Coco slid it on. It fit perfectly. Of course it did. June probably knew her ring size before she did. Now they're in the back of another black Mercedes, driving through Gangnam like they own it. Maybe June does. The buildings here make LA look quaint, wealth stacked on wealth, old money and new money and blood money all mixing together until it's just money, gleaming and merciless. "The council meets in an hour," June says, breaking the silence. "Park will attack your credentials first. He'll question your medical background, your relationship to me, your loyalty. He'll try to make you crack." "I've handled worse," Coco says, thinking of attending physicians who treated nurses like furniture, of family members screaming when their baby didn't make it, of 36-hour shifts where one mistake meant death. "Not like this." June's hand finds hers, squeezes once. "These men will smile while they threaten you. They'll be polite while they decide if you're worth keeping alive. And if they sense weakness, if they think I'm compromised, then what? They kill us both? They remove me. Replace me with someone more controllable." His thumb traces the ring on her finger, and you become collateral damage. The car pulls up to a building that looks like a bank, but feels like a fortress. Coco's heart hammers as they walk through marble hallways, where every footstep echoes. Jun's hand is on the small of her back, guiding her, claiming her. She's wearing a dress he had delivered to the plane, deep emerald silk that accommodates her belly while making her look powerful instead of vulnerable. Her braids are swept up, her makeup is flawless, and she looks like she belongs here. It's the best lie she's ever told. The council room is all dark wood and older men, 11 of them, seated around a table that probably costs more than her student loans. Councilman Park sits at the opposite end from Jun, his smile sharp as a blade. Ah, the mysterious Dr. Jones, Park says in perfect English. How kind of you to join us. I trust the journey wasn't too taxing in your condition. I've worked 36-hour shifts while pregnant, Coco replies smoothly. A 14-hour flight is nothing. Park's smile doesn't waver. Of course. Though I must admit, when June first introduced you as our medical consultant, I was surprised. Your credentials are impressive for a nurse, but a medical director typically requires a doctorate. There it is, the attack. June's hand tightens imperceptibly on her back. Coco feels every eye in the room on her, waiting for her to stumble. You're absolutely right, she says, meeting Park's gaze, which is why my title is Medical Ethics Consultant, not Medical Director. My role isn't to perform procedures. It's to ensure that every case we handle meets international humanitarian standards and can withstand legal scrutiny, something I imagine is quite valuable when you're navigating 17 different jurisdictions. Park's smile thins. And your relationship with June? Surely that presents a conflict of interest, does it? Coco tilts her head. I was under the impression that most successful organizations are built on trust and personal investment. Or should June have hired a complete stranger to handle sensitive medical information about your families? A murmur runs through the council. One of the older men, white-haired, with eyes like flint, speaks in Korean. June responds, gesturing to Coco. The old man nods slowly. Elder Kim asks if you understand what you've entered. Park translates, his tone making it clear he hopes she doesn't. This organization is not a charity, Dr. Jones. We deal in solutions that exist outside conventional law. I understand perfectly, Coco says. You facilitate medical care for people who fall through bureaucratic cracks. You navigate immigration law, insurance restrictions, and medical politics to save lives that would otherwise be written off as acceptable losses. It's not legal, it's not safe, but it's necessary. She lets that settle. My father was a cop, LAPD, 20 years. He used to say that the law and justice aren't always the same thing. Sometimes you have to choose which one you can live with. The room goes silent. June's hand slides from her back to her hip, a possessive gesture that doesn't escape anyone's notice. Park leans forward. And you can live with this? With being tied to an organization that has blood on its hands? I can live with saving a 12-year-old girl from leukemia, Coco counters. Can you live with letting her die because her paperwork wasn't perfect? Park's expression darkens. He's about to respond when Elder Kim speaks again, longer this time, his tone final. June translates quietly, meant only for her. He says you have fire. Like June's grandmother, he approves the marriage. Wait, what? Before Coco can process, Park plays his final card. He slides a folder across the table. Not to June, to her. Since we're discussing transparency, perhaps Dr. Jones would like to explain this. Coco opens it. Her breath stops. It's a complete dossier on her father, Detective Marcus Jones, but not the hero June described. This file shows complaints, internal investigations, allegations of evidence tampering, and at the bottom, a photograph of her father shaking hands with a man whose face she recognizes from June's office. June's father. 15 years ago. Your father wasn't just a good cop who saved June's sister, Park says softly. He was on our payroll. He helped us move people, hide evidence, build the very network you now claim to ethically oversee. Did Jun tell you that part? Or did he let you believe you were sleeping with your father's legacy instead of his co-conspirator? The betrayal hits like a physical blow. Coco turns to June, and the guilt in his eyes tells her everything. He knew, and he let her believe the lie. The hotel suite June booked overlooks the Han River, all floor-to-ceiling windows and minimalist luxury that feels like a cage. Coco stands at the glass, watching the city lights blur through her tears, one hand on her belly where the baby kicks, oblivious to the fact that her mother just discovered her entire life is a lie. June is across the room, silent as a ghost. He hasn't tried to explain, hasn't tried to justify. He's just waiting, like he knows the explosion is coming and he's bracing for impact. How long have you known? Coco asks finally, her voice eerily calm. Since the first night, June admits. My team ran your background within an hour of you entering my car. The connection to your father came up immediately, and you said nothing. I said he saved my sister. That was true. But you left out the part where he was a corrupt cop working for your family. Coco whirls on him, and the fury in her chest is white hot. You let me think he was some noble hero who made one exception out of human decency. You let me believe. Her voice cracks. You let me fall for a ghost that never existed. Your father was complicated, June says carefully. He did work with my family, but the reason he helped my sister wasn't business. It was because he understood what it meant to watch someone you love suffer while the system looks away. Don't. Coco's hand comes up, a barrier. Don't try to make him noble. Don't try to make this romantic. You lied to me, Jun. You manipulated me into feeling like I owed you some kind of debt, when the truth is your family bought my father years ago. I never asked you to feel like you owed me anything, didn't you? Coco laughs, bitter and broken. The whole story about your sister, the tearful confession, the you remind me of someone I lost. That was all manipulation. You were playing me from the beginning. No. June closes the distance between them in 2 strides, and she sees something raw in his expression. I meant every word about my sister. I meant what I said about keeping you safe. The only thing I lied about was your father's role, and I did that to protect you. Protect me? Coco's voice rises. By letting me build my entire moral justification for working with you on a false foundation? What happens when Park leaks this to the authorities? When they realize that the ethical consultant is the daughter of a dirty cop who helped build this organization? June's jaw clenches. That's why Park brought it up. He's trying to make you a liability, force the council to see you as a weak point. He wants me to cut you loose. Then maybe you should. The words hang in the air like smoke. June stares at her, and something in his expression cracks. I can't, he says quietly. I tried, Coco. That first night, I told myself I'd put you back on the street as soon as the cameras moved on. Then I told myself I'd keep you until the baby was born, and then release you. Then I told myself it was about the medical project, about using your skills. He steps closer, and she can see the exhaustion, the desperation. But the truth is, I haven't been able to let you go since the moment you fell asleep in my car and trusted me completely without meaning to. You wrecked me, Coco Jones, and I don't know how to fix it. Coco's hands are shaking. This isn't love, Jun. This is Stockholm Syndrome with a plot, is it? His hand cups her face, thumb brushing away a tear she didn't know had fallen. Because from where I'm standing, you're the one who chose to stay. You're the one who shook my hand knowing exactly what it meant. You're the one who kissed me back in that library like you were drowning, and I was air. I kissed you because I was tired and confused and you wanted to, June finishes. Just like I wanted to, just like I want to now, even though it's the worst possible timing and you have every right to hate me. Coco should push him away, should slap him, should demand he take her back to LA and let her disappear. Instead, she kisses him. This kiss is different from the library. It's angry, desperate, 2 people trying to hurt and heal each other at the same time. June's hands slide into her braids, tilting her head back, and Coco's fingers dig into his shoulders hard enough to bruise. When they break apart, they're both gasping. I hate you, Coco whispers against his mouth. I know, June breathes back. I hate that you lied. I know. I hate that I still want you anyway. June's forehead presses against hers, and his voice is wrecked. I know. I hate it too. They stand there, tangled together, the city glittering below them like a promise neither of them can keep. The baby kicks between them, a reminder that their choices don't just affect them anymore. What do we do? Coco asks finally. Jun pulls back just enough to meet her eyes. We go back tomorrow. We face the council. We prove that Park is the liability, not you. And then, he hesitates. Then what? Then you decide if you can forgive me, and if you can't, I'll let you go. His hand covers hers on her belly. Both of you. I'll set you up with enough money and protection to disappear completely. New identity. New life. No strings. It's the first truly honest thing he's said, and somehow, that makes it worse. I need time, Coco says. Take all you need. He moves to leave, to give her space, but she catches his wrist. Stay. Just stay. I don't want to be alone tonight. June's eyes search hers. Coco, I'm not asking for promises. I'm asking you to hold me while I fall apart. Can you do that? His answer is to pull her into his arms, careful of her belly, and guide her to the bed. They lie down fully clothed, her back against his chest, his hand splayed protectively over where their daughter sleeps. The city hums below them, and Coco lets herself cry, for her father, for her innocence, for the life she lost in a hospital parking garage. June doesn't speak. He just holds her, his breath steady against her neck, his heartbeat a rhythm she's starting to recognize as home. And for tonight, That's enough. The council convenes at dawn, and this time Coco walks in like she owns the room. She spent the night researching, using June's laptop and her medical databases to build a case that would make prosecutors weep. By the time the sun rose over Seoul, she had everything she needed to bury Councilman Park so deep he'd never see daylight again. June walks beside her, his hand not quite touching her back, giving her space to be her own weapon. The council members are already seated. Park at his usual position, with a smile that says he thinks he's already won. He hasn't met Coco Jones on a mission. Gentlemen, Coco begins, not waiting for permission. Yesterday, Councilman Park raised questions about my qualifications and my father's legacy. Valid concerns, so I spent the night conducting my own investigation. She opens her tablet, projects files onto the wall screen. This is the Lee Yuna case that came across my desk 3 days ago. Fake patient, fabricated medical records designed to smuggle unauthorized organ transplants through our humanitarian channels. Murmurs ripple through the council. Park's smile falters. I flagged it immediately, Coco continues. But what I didn't realize until last night was that this wasn't an isolated incident. There have been 7 similar cases in the past 6 months, all approved by the same person. She clicks to the next slide. Councilman Park, using his authority to bypass medical review. Park's face goes pale. That's absurd. Those cases were legitimate. Were they? Coco pulls up hospital records, financial transfers, communication logs. Because according to Seoul National University Hospital, 3 of those patients never existed. The other 4 were real people who died months before their procedures were scheduled, which means someone was using their identities to move organs, or something else, across international borders. The room erupts. Elder Kim demands answers in Korean. Other council members are shouting. Park is on his feet, his composure shattered. You have no proof I personally authorized. Don't I? Coco's smile is razor sharp. Because the approval codes in these files are keyed to your personal signature, the financial transfers route through accounts you control, and the communication logs show you coordinating with organ brokers in 3 countries. She pauses. Brokers who, coincidentally, are under investigation for human trafficking. The silence that falls is absolute. Elder Kim speaks, his voice like gravel. June translates quietly. He's asking if you have physical evidence. Coco pulls a flash drive from her pocket. Everything. Bank records, encrypted communications, delivery manifests. Enough to bury this organization if it goes public. Or, she meets Park's eyes. Enough to bury one councilman who thought he could use our mission as a cover for his private business. Park's hands are shaking. This is a coup. She's an outsider trying to. She's my wife. Jun cuts him off, his voice deadly calm. And she just saved this council from a scandal that would have destroyed us all. The question isn't whether to believe her. The question is what we do with you. Wife. The word echoes. They haven't actually married yet. It was supposed to be a formality, a paper shield. But June just claimed her in front of the entire council, made her untouchable. Elder Kim speaks again. This time, June doesn't translate. He doesn't have to. The way the other council members turn on Park, the way security appears at the doors, tells Coco everything she needs to know. Park is done. But just as the security guards move toward Park, the councilman's phone buzzes. He looks at the screen, and his expression shifts from panic to something far more dangerous. Triumph. Wait, Park says, his voice cutting through the chaos. Before you make me your scapegoat, perhaps the council should know about the other file I found last night. He pulls out his own tablet, projects a single document onto the screen. Coco's heart stops. It's her NICU patient roster from Cedars-Sinai, from 3 months ago, with one name highlighted in red. Baby Zhao, born premature at 28 weeks to a woman named Mei Zhao, the same Zhao family that's been hunting Coco since the photographs surfaced, the same family that Park has been secretly negotiating with. Park's smile is venomous. Tell me, Dr. Jones, did you happen to mention to June that you were the primary nurse responsible for keeping the Zhao family heir alive for 6 weeks? The same family that's had a blood feud with June's organization for 5 years? The same family that would pay millions to anyone who could give them leverage over the Shadow King? The room goes deadly silent. Coco's mind races. She did treat that baby. She remembers the mother, terrified and alone, no family visiting, paying cash for everything. She remembers the security detail that made the hospital administration nervous. She remembers saving that child's life. She never connected the dots. Never realized the woman was part of the syndicate hunting her now. June's hand on her back goes rigid. She can feel him calculating, can feel the moment he realizes what this means. Coco isn't just a random nurse who stumbled into his car. She's the woman who saved his enemy's son. The woman the Zhao family has been trying to find for months, not to kill her, but to recruit her, to use her medical skills for their own operations. The photographs weren't random surveillance. They were confirmation. The Zhao family saw Coco in June's car and realized their missing miracle nurse had fallen into the hands of their greatest rival. They've been watching ever since, waiting to see if June would keep her or if they could steal her back. Park's voice is silk over poison. So you see, Councilman, the question isn't whether Dr. Jones is qualified. The question is whether she's been working for the Zhao family all along. Whether this entire medical initiative is a Trojan horse designed to give our enemies access to our families, our weaknesses, our heirs. Coco's world is imploding. She turns to June, desperate for him to believe her, to know she didn't plan this, didn't know. But June's expression is completely unreadable. The mask is back, the Shadow King fully in control. And for the first time since she fell asleep in his car, Coco can't tell what he's thinking. Elder Kim speaks, sharp and commanding. June translates, his voice flat. He's asking if this is true. Did you treat a Zhao family member? Coco's throat is so tight she can barely breathe. Yes, but I didn't know who they were. Patient confidentiality means we don't ask about family business. I treated a premature infant. That's all. Park laughs. How convenient. And I'm sure it's equally convenient that you entered June's car in the exact parking garage where Zhao surveillance had been stationed for weeks. That you fell asleep so peacefully, so trustingly, giving them the perfect photograph to confirm your identity. No, Coco says, but her voice sounds weak even to her own ears. It was random. Wrong car, wrong place. Was it? Park leans forward. Because the ride share you called that night? I checked the logs. It was canceled 6 minutes before you got in June's vehicle. Canceled from an IP address in Koreatown registered to a Zhao family front business. The floor drops out from under Coco. Someone canceled her ride. Someone orchestrated her getting into June's car. Someone wanted the Zhao family to see her with June. Wanted to create this exact chaos. But who? And why? June finally speaks, and his voice is ice. Get out. Coco's heart shatters. June, not you. June's eyes never leave Park. I'm talking to the councilman who's been feeding information to the Zhao family for the past 8 months. The councilman who knew exactly which parking garage I'd be leaving from that night because he's the one who scheduled the meeting. The councilman who made sure Coco's ride was canceled so she'd have no choice but to take the first car that appeared. Park's face goes white. You didn't set up an organ trafficking ring for profit, June continues, his voice deadly calm. You set it up to fail. To create a scandal that would force the council to remove me. And when that didn't work fast enough, you partnered with the Zhao family to create a honey trap. You found out they were looking for Coco, realized she worked at Cedars-Sinai, and engineered our meeting. You took the photographs. You leaked them. You created this entire mess to make me look compromised, while simultaneously giving the Zhao family leverage. The security guards move toward Park, but he's already reaching for something in his jacket. June moves faster than Coco thought possible, crossing the room in 2 strides, his hand catching Park's wrist. The gun that was hidden in Park's jacket clatters to the floor. You made one mistake, June says quietly, his hand still gripping Park's wrist hard enough to make the older man wince. You assumed Coco was your pawn. You assumed she wouldn't be smart enough to trace your fake medical files back to your financial accounts. You assumed she'd be too desperate or too frightened to fight back. His eyes are black fire. You underestimated my wife. The word hangs in the air, final as a death sentence. Elder Kim speaks one word in Korean. June releases Park, steps back. The security guards take over, dragging Park from the room as he screams threats and promises of retaliation that die the moment the doors close. Coco is shaking so badly she has to sit down. June is beside her immediately, his hand on her shoulder, his voice low and urgent. Did you know? Any of it? No, Coco whispers. I swear, June, I had no idea. The baby, the family, the canceled ride, none of it. I just wanted to go home. I was tired, and it was raining, and I just wanted. I know. June's hand cups her face, forces her to look at him. I know, Coco. I knew the moment Park started talking, because if you were working with them, you wouldn't have flagged the fake file. You wouldn't have exposed their smuggling operation. You would have let me walk into the trap. But the Zhao family will be dealt with. June's thumb brushes her cheek. But right now, I need to know if you still want this. After everything, after learning you were manipulated into my car, that our entire meeting was orchestrated by my enemies, do you still want to stay? Coco thinks about the answer, thinks about the library, the medical files, the kiss that tasted like coffee and promises, thinks about the baby kicking between them and the life growing in her belly that deserves better than a mother who runs from hard choices. I'm still here, she says finally, aren't I? June's smile is small, devastating. Yeah, you are. Elder Kim speaks again, and this time his tone is almost warm. June translates. He says, "Welcome to the family, Shadow Queen. Your first battle is won. Prepare for the war." They marry that night, in a traditional Korean ceremony that feels less like a wedding and more like a coronation. Coco wears crimson silk, her belly proud beneath the hanbok. June looks at her like she's the only thing in the world that matters. When they're pronounced husband and wife, when June kisses her in front of the council and her new family, Coco realizes she's not a captive anymore. She's a queen, and Seoul better be ready. So that's how a pregnant nurse became the Shadow Queen of Seoul. But here's what I need to know from you. Do you think Coco made the right choice? Would you have married June after everything? Or would you have taken the money and run? Drop Shadow Queen or run away in the comments, and tell me what city you're watching from. If you loved this story and want to see what happens when Coco gives birth, when the Zhao family comes for revenge, or when Park's allies in Seoul make their move, let me know in the comments. Should I write part 2? Hit that like button, smash subscribe, and tell me which twist hit you hardest. The fake medical file? Park's betrayal? The Zhao family connection? Or that final reveal that Coco's ride was canceled to force her into June's car all along? Because trust me, this is just the beginning of Coco and June's story. The wrong car was just the first chapter. The real danger? That starts when the baby is born and both families come to claim what they think is theirs. Comment part 2 if you're ready for the next chapter of this dark romance. I'll see you in the shadows.